Ready? Yep. Good. Guys, we're going to start now. So, just a quick hands up. I mean, how many of you guys have seen ControlUP in the past? Half? Not too bad, not too bad. So, I mean, we're going to go over some of the features here today. We're going to start at a high level, for the guys that haven't seen it. But then we'll drill into some of the automation features and show you what ControlUP's done with version 7.4 and how we're starting to automate infrastructure and fix issues as they're happening in real time. So for those that don't know, ControlUP is a monitoring, management and remediation tool. We look at your full infrastructure from your hypervisors all the way down into the user sessions, and we really put a focus on around user experience and what is the user seeing within the session. How we do this, we monitor from the hypervisors, like I said, and we API into all the key hypervisors, so VMware, Hyper-V, Nutanix, XenServer, etc. And we pull all those metrics back, and we layer that against the information that we pull back from the virtual machines and give you a single view of what's going on. So you can see on the left-hand side here, we've got all the hypervisors, top left up there, and we're connected in, and in the right-hand side, we're looking at all the metrics that we're pulling back from these hypervisors. So we can see, various different hypervisors here, whether it's, Acropolis, VMware, etc. But we give you a standardized view across your data center. So you can see, regardless of what your hypervisor is, we're pulling the same metrics in and giving you that standard feel about what's going on. A couple of the unique features that we pull out, so BIOS version is a really cool one that we add in, so you can compare low-level BIOSes of the machines, hypervisor version and hypervisor build number, so we can obviously compare if there's any differences there. And we also pull out things like asset tag numbers, service tag numbers, etc., just to give you that kind of full, complete overview of what's going on within your platform. One of the unique things about ControlUP is we introduce the idea of a stress level, and we can see it here. And what this does is it looks at all the metrics that are alerting for this single machine, or this single hypervisor or user, etc. And it kind of sorts them and tells us which hypervisor, machine, session should we focus our attention on, because they're probably having issues that we need to look at. So it's all about making it easier for the root cause analysis and getting to the bottom of the problem in as least clicks as possible. If you see here again the stress level, if we double click on the stress level, what we see is all the metrics brought into view that are causing this machine to report an issue at the moment. So we can see for this ESX server, we can currently see issues around data store read and write. Brilliant. What's cool about ControlUP, and where again we stand aside, is the fact that once we've given you that information, we actually allow you to drill down further into it and see what's going on under the machine. So now, we've drilled down into that physical host, and we're looking at all the virtual machines that are running under that level. So instead of just giving you metrics and potentially you guys having to jump off and look on a different server or a different platform, we're giving you all that information from inside the console. Again, here we can see 21 virtual machines on this platform. There's various different ones reporting. And again, if we have a look at some of the metrics, it's all the kind of standard stuff you would expect to see. CPU, disk space, RAM, I/O, all the things you would expect to be monitoring from a platform. And we give you that in this simple grid view. Again, sorting by stress level, it's really easy to see the machines that are causing the most load on the level above, so in this case, the hypervisor. And again, we can double click on the stress level and see, a lot more metrics brought into sight. So it's not about you guys kind of having to scroll through. This is green, that's red, and try and work out what's going on. We instantly tell you where the issue is and where you need to focus your attention. If you right-click on any of these machines, we have a context-based remediation options here. So we can go ahead, if we're looking at a virtual machine, we have different options to if we're looking at a user session or a process, etc. And what you can see, we can manage programs and updates, manage a registry. So we've got various tools to be able to manage the infrastructure from the console. And I suppose that's ControlUP's aim really, is to have a single console to do all of the management, all of the reporting, all of the user experience metrics, and be able to sit in here and work out what's going on within the platform. So you can see at the bottom here, there's various options for power management, registry, etc. And what we also have within ControlUP is a really comprehensive script action. We have a lot of guys from the community, so there's probably a couple of guys here that have written scripts for ControlUP. They go to our dev team and they review them, and we publish them all on the website so you can see the code. But effectively what they allow you to do is extend the functionality of ControlUP. So if we have a look at the script actions here for a machine, we can see various different actions, so we can go ahead and if the machine is using PVS, maybe we get the PVS write cache size, or maybe we order the Citrix log. And as you can imagine, we can actually add in our own custom scripts here, so we have customers doing health checks in the morning by right-clicking, running it on 100 machines, and outputting the health check to the service desk systems. Once we find a machine, as again, that's having an issue, you probably guess this, but if we double click on the machine, effectively we drill into that machine and we look at all the users that are running into it. So it's context-based, we're allowing you to drill down through the various steps and work out where the issue is. If you see again here, we're sorted by stress level, so we don't have to look at, we can see maybe 7 users logged onto the platform, some are active, some are disconnected, etc. But what I'm trying to get across here, guys, is we don't have to scroll through pages of metrics and find out what's red and try and work out is that more important than this one. We kind of do that work for you. And again, I'll go into some of the specific user metrics when we kind of start to look at some Citrix users. But if we right-click here, we've got various remediation options. One of the things that we can do is take a screenshot of a user session. So potentially if there's a performance issue and us as the admin are sat in the data center somewhere, we can quickly right-click, get a screenshot, and we'll talk to the agent and we'll pull back a screenshot. We can see there exactly what's going on within the user's desktop. So a very fast way to work out that when we're seeing a performance issue, what's going on, and we can also automate that as well. So if we automate critical stress, we could automatically take a screenshot and send it in, or we could just disable that functionality altogether. In terms of, once we've found the user that's having an issue, if we double click on that user one more time, you'll see that we are now drilling into the process view. So we're kind of looking at a task manager view of what's going on for this single user, this single session within this machine. And we can start again to kind of drill down and see where are the issues here. Again, sorting by stress level, we don't have to look through the 18 processes that are running for this user. We can instantly sort by the stress level and say, you know what, it's Dynamo, it's IO meter that's running on this user's desktop, and that's what's causing the problem for my user. So effectively 4 clicks, we've gone from an issue on the hypervisor, and now we've found a single process that's running on the actual user session that's causing that issue all the way back up. If we right-click at the process level here, again, we can take a session screenshot, we've got processes, we can do various actions here. But if we go into the process tab, you can see that we've got various options here to kill the processes. So we can gracefully kill it or forcefully kill it. And then we can do some clever stuff around process affinity. So maybe if this process is maxing out all the CPUs, maybe we don't want to kill it, we're just going to say, you know what, you can only run on 2 of our 4 CPUs on that machine, and within 3 seconds that will be set on the machine. In terms of other things we can do, process priority. So this is quite a good one for being able to restrict the priority of the process without killing it. If there's resource to be used, go ahead and freely boot. But if there's other users that are using it as day-to-day operations, we can maybe say that this process is restricted and it doesn't get as much priority as the other. So if we go ahead and drop that to below normal, we'll see within a couple of seconds the priority here will change to below normal, and you can see how fast we're able to effectively manipulate and change what's going on within the platform. The last option that we're having here for processes, we can actually throttle the CPU. So we can see currently this process is using around 22% CPU. But if we just go ahead and click that apply on there, we can limit down how much resource this process is allowed to use and effectively hard limit what's going on there. And then obviously we can go ahead and just kill the process if we've got any options, we can actually kill it, and we'll see that issue resolved all the way back up the tree. So within a couple of seconds, we'll see that disappear. And then if we have a look at the IO, we can instantly see that that's dropped off at the top level, so we're looking at the user session. And then as we start to drill back up to the hypervisor, we'll see that issue resolved. So very fast troubleshooting, root cause analysis to be able to get down to where the actual issue is. If you have a look at end user experience and what we can do there, so for this example, we'll focus on some ZAP 65 servers here. But effectively what we can see various ZAP 65 servers, but we start to see metrics directly from Citrix. So we can see ZAP load, or we can see load values, or PVS RAM cache. We can also see things like logon duration, so we can start to work out which ZAP servers are having potential issues for users, which ones are they logging onto and it's taking 2 minutes, and then focus our attention on resolving those. So we can see here average logon duration, and you can see some of these guys are having some issues. If we scroll across, we can start to look at more specific metrics. So PVS RAM cache is a really good one. If it's overflowing to disk, we potentially could have storage issues there. And as I mentioned, we can actually automate things to happen. That if we detect that happening, we can actually run an automation in the background that maybe fixes that or maybe perform some action in real time. As we scroll across a little bit more, we start to see PVS vDisk image and Platinum, the license that's being used by ZAP, license, ZAP version that's installed there. So, there's lots of detailed metrics about ZAP. But what I really want to show you is, once we find a user that's having an issue, let's jump into this machine here. We can see there's a couple of guys logged on. If we scroll across, we start to look at the user performance. And what we do here for a specific user is we kind of go away a little bit from the stress level. So the stress level is still important. It's going to give us, metrics around CPU and RAM and I/O. But most users don't really care about how much CPU, how much RAM is being used. What they care about is, can I open a new Internet Explorer tab and can I open my Word? So if they're using 128 gig of RAM, it's a problem for us guys, but they don't care. They just want to keep using it. So what we've done, we introduced this idea of user experience score. And what this does is it looks at all the metrics that directly affect the user, so latency, logon performance, bandwidth usage, etc. And then we can start to get an idea of not just which users are using a lot of resource, but which users are having a negative impact on our platform. And we can start to kind of, resolve it from there. If we double click on the user experience score, we basically pull all the metrics in here that are causing the user to have an issue, so we can see group policy, load time, profile, load time, etc. Obviously this user, we've kind of simulated an issue there. But effectively what we can do, if we just go back, if we scroll across, basically we break that total logon duration out for each user into the various different components that make up the logon time. So we can see 229 seconds here, and that's made up of 19 seconds profile load time, group policy load time is 64 seconds, and we've kind of got in here, 3 seconds for desktop load time, etc. Which is pretty good, we've given you the breakdown and we can see what's going on there. But what's really cool about ControlUP is, anywhere we see a red metric, if we've got the 3 blue lines on here, effectively if we click on that, the virtual expert's going to make you some recommendations into maybe what view to go next to get some more information, or potentially if there's any scripts within the library, of our community library, it will say, potentially you want to run this script, could you be able to gather some more information out of that? So for the group policy load time here, 64 seconds. If we go ahead and run that analyze GPU extension load time script that the virtual experts recommended, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the group policy load time for this specific user here, and we're going to break down all the policies that are applying, and we're going to tell you, you can see at the top there, how much time each policy is taking to apply. So for this one, funnily enough, it's called slow GPU processing. But what we can see is the exact elements within that, so it's the group policy drive mappings of this policy that are taking a long time. So, to figure that out, originally we'd have to do group policy wizards and modeling and try and remove users. We can kind of show you that within one click, which policies are causing you an issue. We also at the bottom show you how long it takes for folder redirection as well. So if you've got any folder redirection issues, we can show you how long that's taking. And if there's any errors that have been detected as the user's logging on, and maybe certain folders are not redirected properly, we also show you any errors as well. We can see this has got a 1003 error here, so we can kind of look into that further. And we can do that for all of the columns, so logon duration, we can do that for group policy, load time, etc. And we also have another script here in terms of the overall logon duration, and that's the analyze logon duration script. And what this does is it breaks down the various different logging phases, so network drivers being mapped, group policy, active directory scripts, etc., and breaks down not only how long is each one of these phases taking to run, but if potentially there's any delay between one of the phases and the next phase starting, we can show you that delay as well. We call that engine delay. So this one takes a little bit longer to run. It's querying a lot of event logs, but it's really detailed in terms of what we can do there. I'll come back to that when it's finished. So if we jump back, I'll show you some of the cool automation features that we introduced in 7.4. And effectively this is what we introduced at Citrix Synergy, and we won the Workspace Award for this. So if we just go ahead and have a look at this. So potentially what we can do, just jump into some different machines here, is we can look at the performance of these machines, and we can monitor these in real time every 3 seconds, and effectively we can see when there's an issue, and we can run an automation in the background that resolves that. So if we come in here, and I'll show you the trigger that we have set for this. So just to give you an idea, triggers are basically our mechanism for alerting. So if something happens, do we send an email? Do we do something? And the triggers, we can be very granular. We can look at every single metric within ControlUP and create a trigger based on that. So for example, if the user logs on and the CPU is high and the memory is high for a specific application, we can go ahead and throttle that specific application. If I show you in here now what's going on, so we'll have a look at this trigger at the top. Free disk space we can see at the top. But basically what we're doing is we're looking at a machine type, and as we go across, we're saying if the disk space on this machine drops below 500 meg for 3 seconds or more, and we've limited the scope, so we've limited the scope to just RDS 2019 machines. And we can also set a schedule in here, so we can say, you know, does this run weekdays, does this run on a weekend or 9 to 5, so we can be really granular in terms of when this runs. But when we detect that a server in that folder has gone below the threshold, effectively we're going to run this automation here, which is basically a script action that's in the library. If we have a look at other things that we can run, so we can go ahead and send an email alert when we detect this. And what we've also got now is, you know, custom templates, so we can create a template that ties into ServiceNow or your help desk ticket. So when we detect it, we can automatically create tickets for your help desk guys. Some of the more advanced control users that we're seeing, what they're doing now is they're running an action, and if the action fails, then they're going to send a ticket. So it's kind of a first step fix. If that doesn't work, then it's going to log a ticket, but at least we've tried all the things that fixed it last time. If I show you what the script's doing, it's not doing anything great, but it's basically going to look at the T drive once we detect that there's an issue. And you can see there, you know, T temp, and for each file that we find, we're basically just going to go ahead and delete that. So effectively, you guys could be a lot more granular. We could do Windows cleanup, we could clear temp files, we could do files older than a certain date and archive them to a file server, etc. But for our demo example here, we're basically just going to show you a really simple example, and I'll show you this in real time. So if I just move this guy over here and we jump onto this RDS machine, so we can see here, we jumped onto the Windows 29 machine, which is where we're going to apply the automation. And we've got a script at the top that's basically outputting 700 meg file into the T drive to generate some load for us. It looks like one of my colleagues is running this at the moment at the same time, Sam Legrand, so we'll let him finish, let the automation run. But when we run it, we're effectively going to see a file created down here, and then the automation will clear that in the back end. Maybe do some testing. Cool. So what we can do, let's come across here. We can see the metrics here, you know, minimum free disk space, 335 meg, and it looks like Sam is actually doing some testing, so we will go ahead and just delete this guy manually. And then we'll run through the example. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to create some load here, and we're going to output it today. You can see we've already redetected the issues being resolved there, but effectively we're going to create the load. When it's in that state for 3 seconds or more, it's going to automatically run that script and delete the file down. So hopefully this is going to work and Sam's not broken it, but we can see the file created at the bottom down here, so before Windows has detected how big the file is, we can see the minimum free disk space at the top has already dropped below. So we pull the metrics back every 3 seconds from these agents, so effectively as soon as we're seeing issues, we're detecting it within the real-time console. So what we should see, guys, is we should see this file deleted in a couple of seconds, but like I said, it looks like Sam is doing some work at a very nice time to show us it not working. Let's try and show you another example of this. So what we can do is we can jump in, and we've got another automation within here, and basically what this does is it says when the users are detected in a disconnect, go ahead and remove the process priority to below normal. So if we go ahead and jump into my user session, and disconnect this guy. So effectively what we're going to see is these process priorities here will drop to below normal. Let's see that's happened. And what we see at the top up here is this working set of memory. What we do is we trim the memory down and release that back to the system. So if you've got XenApp and you've got multiple users on the platform, obviously we can release those resources back into the environment to allow users that are logged on and more processes there. In terms of other things that we've got within the product, so remote desktop, so we can RDP to all the servers we've got an agent on and manage them all from a single console. We have the controllers feature, and this effectively allows us to compare multiple machines and see where they're different. So it's really good for XenApp machines, for even PVS machines where you think they should be identical, but potentially if users are reporting issues on there, we can go ahead and see where those are different. So we can see on this side all the services that are running for all these machines. And then we can see we've got kind of a legend here that's telling us, where there's differences. So if we look across, we can see that these services are running on 4 machines, but they're not running on these 2. So if users are reporting issues, it's really easy to drill in and see where the issue is and potentially where there's any differences between the machines. Not only in just the services, but we can also check the Windows registry as well. So if the changes made to software, etc., we can see where these keys are different. And you can see we create a lot of demo keys in here. But what we can go ahead and do is we can go ahead and say, if we've only got a key on one machine, we can go ahead and distribute that key to all of the other machines within the platform from the console. So if we do find a difference between the machines, we've got a mechanism to distribute that key to all the machines, and we'll see that key now, Roger is grey, is going to be yellow. So we can see that that key now is on all the machines, and we're happy there. File system, we can also do it here as well, so we can look at kind of the C drive and the E drive, and work out, for these machines, is there any differences across those machines? And then we have similar options to kind of, copy the files and distribute the files out to all the other machines as well if there's an issue there. And the last but not least is programs and updates. So we can also go through and look at all the different versions of the programs within the platform, see what version differences there are there, and see if there's potentially, anything that we can do there in terms of versions. Incidents is the last 14 days worth of incidents within the platform, so we can see any alerts that have been generated there. Event log allows us to consolidate the event logs across the whole platform. So I always wonder, event logs, is that really great? But what I've seen, when I've been using the tool is, when you have that little one event log on one user, it maybe doesn't have that much weight to it, you could easily skip past it. But when you see that event log across 10,000 users, it's a lot more critical. Maybe we want to focus our attention on fixing that because it's affecting every user within the platform. So it's a really good way of seeing events across all the users and working out if we've got an issue within the platform we really should focus our attention on. And in terms of security policy, so every option that I've shown you within the real-time console, there's a corresponding security, a group or a security permission, if you like, that you can then restrict that to Active Directory groups. So a lot of the customers will have a group for first line that's maybe read-only, second line has got a little bit more permission, and third line maybe they can run the scripts and do everything there. Any questions so far, guys? Cool.
Talking about copying a reg key.
Yeah.
Can you do a rollback, and is it being logged, what you did?
So yeah, it's all audited. We see that within the monitor, so we've got an audit log that we can pull all that back through. In terms of rollback, not so much. It's more a case of copying the registry across. So in terms of rollback, you'd have to look at backup, or you can create a copy of the key first. Maybe you create a backup of that key, and then you roll it out. Cool. So this is kind of the real-time console. This is where kind of the admins are going to be in day-to-day, monitoring the platform and making sure that everything is cool. And what we've got in the background is ControlUP Insights, which is, we have two versions. We have a cloud version that's hosted in AWS. You just send all the information and we host that for you. Or if there's an issue with that, you can install it on-premise and you kind of host all this infrastructure on your own infrastructure. But effectively what we can see is various different high-level reports here. Top Insights is looking at the previous day's activity. So looking at all the users, all the machines from the last day, and potentially highlighting if there's any issues or any performance issues that we can see there. We can see again slow loop users, top CPU consuming users. We can see user sessions, average performance, so a real high-level overview. But what's really great about the insights is when you see, maybe we want to work out why this guy's using so much CPU. If we click on any of these metrics, we effectively get the same drill down that we get in the real-time console. So we can drill down into a user, and you don't really need to know much about ControlUP. You just need to know that if you want more information, click it, and it's probably going to take you into the next view that automatically shows you that. So here we've come into the user session resources. We can see at the top the virtual experts already filtered the view for us, so we don't need to worry about that. We can see our users already at the top, and we've already automatically filtered by CPU usage. You can see up there. So we're looking at the users by CPU usage. If we scroll across here, basically we'll see various different metrics. So we'll see CPU, RAM usage, I/O usage, etc. We can track the sessions all the way back to a year. So if a user had a session 6 months ago and we decide to log a ticket today, we can actually drill back and look at that granular session in 5-minute resolution and figure out exactly what was going in that user session. So when was the user logged on, when did the user log off, what processes to have running, how much CPU, etc. And if we click on the username here, effectively we drill into that detailed report. So we go into the user session details and we show you that granular information about the user. Historically, you can go back and see all that. So you can see here at the top, we can see the username, we can see when the user logged on, etc. And we can see the OU that the user's logged in, which is sometimes helpful. But we can see performance metrics up here in terms of log-on duration, how long the various different components are taking to start. As we scroll down, we show you a timeline view so we can see the logon state, we can see this user's active. In fact, this user's active for a couple of minutes and they're basically being idle for the rest of the day. So we can see what was going on within the user session historically. If we scroll down a little bit more here, effectively what we see is information directly from the machine. So what was the client's IP, where are they connected from, what's the name of the machine, are they using Citrix, if so what's the Citrix receiver version that they're using, which is really good. I mean, I had a customer the other day on a pilot, and they installed a pilot and they're like, we can't work out why 100 of our users are slow. We installed ControlUP, we got a couple of days metrics in here, and when we did a filter on all the slow users, they're all using version 12 of Citrix receiver. It's like, update Citrix receiver and everything's working. So it's giving you that. I mean, it's not always obvious what the issue is, and sometimes little issues like that. But by able to be able to view the information in a detailed way and say these are all the users that are having an issue, we can drill in and make recommendations. Yes.
Thinking GDPR, is there any easy way to remove the user data for a specific user?
Yes, so we're fully GDPR compliant. We have full documentation about GDPR. We can, if you make a request, remove information. So we're actually data processors in this scenario. So you make a request to us and we can remove the information from the console. But again, a lot, if there's big issues around that, you can host it on premise and effectively you guys own your data then.
Do you have the option to pull out all the information for one user also, so you can deliver it to them?
Yeah, so we can export, we can automate, we can export things in here, and we can see, what's going on. So yeah, we can export information in various different views into Excel, and we can automate that, send them in automated reports. So yeah, effectively we can do that. Cool. So looking through some of the other reports, and if we just scroll down, we can see all the processes here that are running for the user. So we can see when the process was started, how long that process was running for. And if we keep scrolling down, what we're going to see is the performance of the user session. So here we can see the user's performance, and we can also see the computer's performance as well, which is really useful if Zenap users, everything's really slow, but I'm not doing anything. Maybe it's another user within that system that's running Excel or running some crazy load, and we can see here now the user's performance and actually the whole machine's performance. And when we click on one of these metrics, we can drill down and see which processes were running by which user and how much CPU were those using. So granular, all the way back to a year, we can find a user session and drill into this kind of level of granularity to figure out what was going on there. We can also do the same for RAM utilization, I/O utilization, and protocol latency. So if we're coming over a NetScaler, effectively we can pull the metrics out of the NetScaler and look at the protocol latency and kind of report that back. And also the bandwidth used within the session as well. And also if you're using applications, we can also monitor how long it takes an application to launch. So by default, we have Word executables in there. But if you guys have got core business applications, you can go ahead and input those, and then we'll monitor every time that application launches. We'll monitor how long it takes to launch for the user, and we can report back on that as well. In terms of other things within Insights, so logon duration is a really cool report. So when we drill into this, by default, we're looking at logon duration over the last 24 hours, and you can see at the bottom, we're looking at hourly. But as I said, we can go all the way back to a year, and we can start to look at, is there any increase in performance as we've made changes in March, April, etc. So we rebuilt our demo environment in January, so that's why we haven't got any data before that. But you can see, there were changes in March, and that's caused a massive spike to logon experience. And then, we fixed that and brought it back down for April. So you can kind of, track the performance over time and say, well, guys, we made a big change in March, and that's dramatically increased the logon experience for users. We also break that down into the various different components. So, as we said before, profile load time, group policy load time, etc. And we can basically see exactly what is going on there for all the users. We also have this idea of community benchmark as well. And so the community benchmark effectively looks at all the users that are using ControlUP Cloud and allows you to compare yourself to say, look, for all the 2,000 customers that are using ControlUP, across the board, how long are all those users taking to log in, and giving you kind of a stick in the sand to benchmark yourself against other users. And we kind of have that functionality throughout the product. So if there's application usage, we allow you to compare application usage against other people that are using that exact same application version, etc. In terms of other reports then, so we also have protocol trends. And what this one does is it allows you to compare network performance across different branch offices. So we can see, for example, if we're logging in from maybe the Israeli office and our internet office, etc., we can see effectively the performance from different office locations. So if you have, one of your offices having really bad performance one day, we can see all that information and we can go on, we can see the latency. Here we'll put on 24 hours. Please. If we change it to a month here, we can see effectively the protocol latency across the different sites, and then we can start to report back on that as well. In terms of other reports, are there any reports people want to see? We can kind of focus on that. If not, I'll kind of just keep going through some of the other reports. Anything in particular you want to kind of see within your platform? Cool. So in terms of other things that we can do, Netscaler is kind of one of the things we haven't talked about yet. But within the real-time console as well, we can also monitor your Netscalers. So if we go back into here, we can also monitor your Netscalers in real time and pull all those metrics out and allow you to monitor the whole piece from the Netscalers all the way through to the end-user processes. And we give you really good information here, CPU performance, number of HDX users connecting through, etc. If we keep going through, we also have some cool automations with config. So, if users haven't saved the config for a while, we run an automation in the background that takes a copy of the config and it moves it out to a file server. So we don't save the config in case there's something there that you don't really want to be saving. But what we do is we take a copy of that config and we output it to a predefined location on a file share somewhere. We also have some automations in terms of expiring certificates. So we can effectively, if you guys have certificates, we can forward that in and we can automatically generate a local certificate and send that back in as well. In terms of the insight reports in the back end, so we also have here, in terms of Netscalers, we can look at the performance of the Netscalers all the way back to a year. And why this is really useful is, Citrix, to get Netscaler reports more than a month out of Citrix is a platinum feature, which is obviously a big cost uplift. But we give you high-level information so we can see each individual Netscaler here, number of HDX sessions, gateways that have been up, etc. And then we can start to drill down into the specific load balances and services and service groups that are running under there to say, guys, we've had 100% uptime on all our Netscaler load balances this month. We can also tie into specific gateways as well. So we can see here, concurrency across the gateways, which gateways are being used, what's the performance like, traffic throughput, etc. Application usage, so we can start to drill into the statistics of specific applications and see which applications are used the most within the platform, what kind of performance are we seeing, so which applications are using the most CPU. We can see in ours, it's this user in it, and it's only being run by one unique user. As we scroll across, we can see again memory, I/O, network, etc. And as we click through these, we can start to drill down. Like I said before, we don't need to know really the ControlUP insights. Effectively, if you want information, click on the metric and it will take you down and automatically show you the correct report. And you can see there that this is run by a single user here. Potentially, if you want to figure out which machine it was run on, we can kind of drill down and get that information as well. Scroll down a few more. So effectively, some of the other things that we can do is looking at published applications, looking at your Citrix license usage, etc. And it's all about giving you that high-level overview within the insights of what's going on within your platform. Obviously, the real-time console is giving you the granular information of things that are happening in real time there. So I think we've got a couple of minutes left, guys. So is there any questions, any feedback here?
DLLs, Outlook hanging, how would that show?
Sorry?
Outlook hanging.
Outlook hanging. So we will probably see in user input delay. So one of the new metrics that we have is user input delay. And what this does is it looks, for example, if Notepad, there's a delay between typing the user and being able to input that, it would come up as that. So let me just find a user session and I'll show you this in action. But effectively, we will see that in latency. So it will come through as latency within the session. Or if Outlook crashed, we would see it exiting with an exit code other than 0. So it would crash and we will be able to pick up the exit code there. If I scroll across here, I'll show you that metric. So we've got user input delay here. So not applicable means within the 45 seconds there's been no input delay. But as you said, Outlook crashing would show a massive spike there in terms of performance. Any more questions, guys? Cool. So, for the last couple of minutes then, what I'll do is I'll talk you through a couple of the script actions that we have within the library. As I said, you guys can create your own PowerShell scripts in here. One of the cool things as well is that we can actually bring in arguments So if you guys are potentially wanting to write a script and base it on the user that alerted, we can pass the username in as an argument and then incorporate that into the PowerShell script, or maybe the machine name or a process ID, etc. We can send those in and then have a more generic script that takes an input and we can input that from control. So looking at a couple of more scripts, I mean, the most popular ones are probably the ones around end-user experience and end-user profile management. Citrix user profile sizes, we can analyze the HDX latency and look within each virtual channel and tell you where your bandwidth is going across the channel. So like I said, there's kind of hundreds of scripts in here. A lot of them aimed around Citrix. There's a lot more that are not aimed around Citrix, but allowing you to kind of pull out more information without having to jump onto multiple systems. And I suppose where control really stands aside is when you guys input your own scripts and your own fixes and your own kind of automation in there to make this happen in real time as users are experiencing delay on the platform. So I think, guys, that is probably my time there. But if you've got any more questions, feel free to come out to the booth and we can show you a more detailed demo if you've got any use cases, and we can kind of go through it in a little bit more detail. Hopefully that was useful. Thank you.